Hi everybody, Mr. Politics here, and welcome to another video. The government's secret plan to relocate 7,000 Afghans to the UK. Well, it's just been announced today that the government have secretly flown 7,000 Afghans into the country, and of course they did help our armed forces when we was in Afghanistan. The reason being there was a data breach with their names appeared in public, and of course now I'm terrified that the Taliban will find out this information and do away with them if they're caught. But this is going to cause no end of anger in the country. 7,000 Afghans are to be secretly located to Britain, and of course the government thought that they could keep it a secret. Well, it's not a secret anymore, is it? And of course they were granted a super injunction so that journalists couldn't find out what was going on. But the Daily Mail, they've uncovered this story, and a judge lunchtime, I think midday lunchtime, granted the media the right to know, and everybody else to know. We got 7,000 of them coming into the country. Where are they going to live? Where are they going to live? I suppose they'll be put up in hotels, and when there's no more hotels for them, I suppose they'll be the government will find some empty council houses and put them in council houses. That's what'll happen. And we don't know who will be amongst them. Will there be a vetting procedure to find out who they are? Whether they were interpreters who helped our armed forces in Afghanistan, or will they be just... we don't know whether they'll be the Taliban claiming to be interpreters, because I wouldn't be surprised if that doesn't happen. We'll have them amongst them, claiming they interpreters for our armed forces in Afghanistan. We'll have them in the country. What is going on with this country? We have gone absolutely mad. Like I've just said, where are they going to be housed? Where are they going to live? They've got to be found somewhere to live. If they can't put them in hotels, I suppose they'll be put in council houses somewhere, empty council houses if there is any. But they'll find some, don't you worry. They'll find some empty council houses and probably flats. They'll be put in council flats. And in the meantime, the British people who've been waiting for years for a house, for a home, will be put at the back of the queue, and once more will have to wait. Some of them will never get a home of their own, a council house, because of these Afghans being prioritised and put first. And then you've got when they arrive, I suppose the next thing they'll be doing, the government will say they can bring their families in with them, their uncles, their aunties, their cousins, their grandparents, the rest of their extended family, because you know how big some of these Afghan families are. They've got about 20 kids with them, and they bring them with them. So don't be surprised if all their relatives, like I've said, their uncles and aunties and cousins, and all, they'll all be wanting to get in. And of course, like I've said, I don't know where they're going to be housed. And then you've got the problem of finding out they'll be wanting to use our doctors, our NHS, the doctors, the dentists, and then their kids are going to be found schools to go to. More strain on our public services, thanks to this government. But then again, you can't blame Starmer because he's only been in 12 months. You've got to blame the previous lot, the Tories, for this. They agreed to this. You blame them, the useless Tories. But like I've said, once they start arriving, we don't know who's going to be amongst them. Then surely there's going to have to be a vetting process for them to find out who they are. I mean, I suppose there'll be criminals amongst them. There'll be criminals amongst them. I mean, the Afghans who are living in this country at the moment, they're top of the league for assaults. They're top of the league for that. I mean, you don't know who's going to be amongst them. Will they be? I just suppose they'll be criminals. Some of them will pretend to say they are interpreters. Probably, which they won't be. They'll be criminals. And also, I wouldn't be surprised if the Taliban are not amongst them as well, claiming to be interpreters. I don't suppose there will be any background checks carried out. Because this government we've got, they are absolutely bonkers to allow this to happen. They, like I've said at the beginning of the video, they thought they could keep this a secret, but it's not a secret anymore, is it, Starmer? Your secret has been found out. Thanks to the Daily Mail, they've kept on this story going, and like I've said, a judge has said to them that they can report it because the government got a super injunction to stop any mention of this. But like I've said, we've got another lot coming into the country, taking what they should not be theirs. I mean, I suppose they'll be all the preparations are already in place for them to be put in hotels and get access to our benefits and the NHS and whatever. And I suppose, like I've said before, they'll be prioritised. Everybody else will who've lived in this country born here and lived in this country for years, will be pushed at the back of the queue, made to wait. Anyway, that's the end of this video. Mr. Politics here signing off, and remember, don't believe the lies.